Hey everyone, you know some of the oldest bridges in the world are still standing today, showing their incredible ingenuity and craftsmanship of the ancient builders. So join me as we count down the top 15 oldest bridges in the world. Starting with number 15, Kapellbrücke. The Kapellbrücke, or Chapel Bridge in Lucerne, Switzerland, is one of the oldest wooden bridges in Europe. Crossing the Reuss River, it was originally built in 1333 as part of the city's defensive fortifications. Named after the nearby St. Peter's Chapel, the bridge was strategically positioned at an angle to the riverbank, and over the years it evolved from being a defensive structure to a cultural landmark. Measuring 673 feet or 205 meters long, this bridge was originally the longest covered wooden bridge in Europe. Now, one of the most interesting features on this bridge is the triangular paintings that cover the interior roof panels. These paintings, which date back to the 17th century, depict scenes from Swiss and local history, as well as legends and biblical stories, with many of them having been created by artist Hans' comprehensive restoration project using traditional methods and techniques, and the damaged sections of the bridge were meticulously rebuilt, and by April 1994 it was reopened. Today, it is one of Switzerland's most visited landmarks, attracting tourists from around the world. And with an idyllic location on the Reuss River, it's the perfect place to see views of the surrounding Alps and the stunning old town of Lucerne. Number 14, the Rialto Bridge in Venice. The Rialto Bridge is one of the most famous landmarks in Venice. It's one of the oldest of the four bridges that cross the Grand Canal, which is the city's main waterway. With the current design completed in 1591, the bridge has become a symbol of Venice, and it's loved for its amazing design and functionality as a route across the canal. It takes its name from the Rialto district, which is the commercial heart of Venice during the Middle Ages and Renaissance. As early as the 12th century, a wooden bridge was built to connect the districts of San Marco and San Polo, allowing for trade and movement across the Grand Canal. By the 13th century, the bridge features an 88-foot or 27-meter-long stone arch with a width of 72 feet or 22 meters, and it's supported by over 6,000 timber pilings that were driven into the canal bed. It features two inclined ramps that meet at the central portico, and it covered arcades on either side. Those arcades have small shops selling jewelry, souvenirs, and luxury items, continuing the bridge's role as a commercial center and in the Venetian ethos of merging practicality with beauty. Today, it's one of the city's most visited landmarks, attracting millions of tourists each year with its views of the Grand Canal. Number 13, Tar Steps in Somerset, England. The Tar Steps, which are in the Exmoor National Park in Somerset in England, crosses the River Bar, but its exact origins are unclear, with conflicting theories about when and why it was built. Some even claim the bridge dates back to the Bronze Age, around 3,000 years ago. But archaeological evidence suggests a more likely date of construction in the medieval era, possibly as early as the 13th century. Particularly special is the integration with the landscape. Built using locally sourced stone, this bridge blends in with its surroundings, creating something that almost looks as if it's a natural formation. Having been there for so long, the Tar Steps are steeped in local folklore too, with one of the most famous legends being that it was built by the devil. According to the story, the devil built the bridge to assert his dominance over the area and vowed to harm anyone who crossed it. A clever local priest, though, challenged the devil and successfully exorcised him, allowing people and animals to use the bridge safely. Today, while there are plenty of alternative routes, the Tar Steps are a popular destination for walkers, nature enthusiasts, and anyone else exploring the stunning landscapes of Exmoor National Park. But flooding, in particular, is a major challenge for the structure, and it often dislodges its stones. But they're carefully replaced using traditional methods to preserve the authenticity of the bridge, meaning that it looks today just how it would have originally. Number 12, the Old Stone Bridge in Germany. It was commissioned to replace older wooden bridges that were vulnerable to flooding and ice, providing a reliable crossing point. Its length of 1,017 feet or 310 meters and width of 25 feet or 7.5 meters made it one of the largest and most ambitious stone bridges in Europe. It features 16 arches, each supported by piers designed to withstand the powerful currents of the Danube, and the bridge's construction involved newly developed techniques at the time, including the use of wooden cofferdams to create dry working areas for building the piers. With rounded arches, piers, and a functional design, it is an example of Romanesque architecture, and cleverly, each arch is slightly different in size to handle the natural flow of the river and the varying water levels. One of the more noticeable features of the bridge is the fortified gateway, known as the Brucktor, which was once the toll collection point and a defensive structure. While some modifications and restorations have been made over the centuries, the bridge still pretty much has its original character, including castle and Gakste for crag, so it means castle of the crag. Over the centuries, it served various purposes, including a place of worship, a lookout point for pirates, and a refuge for sailors. Legend has it that St. John the Baptist once visited the site, leaving behind his footprints on the path to the Hermitage. As a result, the site's been a place of pilgrimage for centuries, and still today visitors follow the tradition of ringing the church bell 3 times and making a wish when they reach the top. The journey here is as impressive as the place itself. The 241-step staircase zigs and zags up the islet and connects to the mainland by a narrow stone bridge. Built around the same time as the Hermitage, the staircase is carved directly into the rock in places, with sturdy stone walls offering safety as visitors climb up. The walk along the path and across the bridge is physically challenging though, and with the crashing waves alongside, it is meant to symbolize both a literal and metaphorical journey, and reaching the top is considered an act of perseverance and devotion. As well as being a place of pilgrimage and a stunning landmark, and it means the Safe Crossing Bridge. It is believed to be the oldest open spandrel stone segmental arch bridge still in existence. It was designed and built by the Chinese engineer Li Chun around the year 605 during the reign of Emperor Yang. At the time, China was experiencing a period of great progress in infrastructure, and the construction of the bridge was part of efforts to further develop transportation and trade in the region. Its completion over 1,400 years ago was hugely impressive, as no similar structures existed in the Western world for centuries after it. It's a single-span stone arch bridge with a total length of 166.5 feet, or about 50.8 meters, a width of 29.5 feet, or 9 meters, and a span of 122.6 feet, or 37.3 meters. Now, what made it ahead of its time was the segmental arch design, which reduced the amount of material needed while maintaining the strength and stability of the bridge. Li Chun's segmental arch had to rise to span a ratio of 1 to 5. This design made the bridge lighter, more efficient, and capable of withstanding heavier loads. The open span. Number 9. The Old Bridge of Desful, Iran. The Old Bridge of Desful, which is in the Khuzestan province of Iran, crosses the Des River, and it served as a vital link for transportation and trade for over 1,700 years. Built during the Sasanian Empire under the reign of Shapur I, it's known locally as Pole Desful. It's thought to have been constructed around the year 260 during the Sasanian Empire. Legend has it that Shapur I used captured Roman engineers and laborers to construct it, using the advanced engineering techniques of the era. As the oldest bridge in Iran that's still in use, it's seen continuous repairs and renovations over the centuries, ensuring its survival through natural disasters, invasions, and changing dynasties. It originally featured 40 arches, though some have been lost over time, and today around 20 of them remain intact. In total, the bridge is about 1,340 feet or 410 meters in length and 20 feet or 6 meters in width, making it wide enough for foot traffic, festivals, and gatherings near the banks. With such historical and cultural importance, though, repairs and restorations have been carried out to make sure it continues to survive, including measures to combat the effects of flooding and erosion caused by the river. Despite these efforts, though, the bridge faces challenges from natural and human-made factors, such as an increase in traffic, and continued initiatives will be needed to safeguard it for the future. Number 8. The Roman Bridge in Trier, Germany. The Roman Bridge in Trier, Germany, which is called the Römerbrücke, is one of the best-preserved Roman bridges in the world. Crossing the Moselle River, it's been in continuous use for nearly 2,000 years after first being built during the reign of Emperor Augustus. The bridge was built to connect the city with other important trade and military routes across the Moselle River. As part of a network of Roman roads, it enabled commerce, troop movement, and communication between the Roman provinces. The bridge is known for its massive stone piers, which are the original Roman foundations. Those piers in its own right, the bridge is just one of a number of Roman structures in the city, many of which are UNESCO-listed monuments. This has led to Trier being known as the Rome of the North, while other ancient sites including the Porta Nigra, the Imperial Baths, and the amphitheater. While these have long since become relics, though, the bridge continued to be used long after the fall of the Roman Empire, seeing invasions by the Germanic tribes, medieval wars, and modern conflicts. It's played a crucial role in the city's development, connecting Trier to trade routes that brought wealth and influence to the region, and it still provides important passage across the river today. Moving on to number 7, the Severin Bridge in Turkey. The Severin Bridge, which is also known as the Sendare Bridge, is a Roman bridge that's in the province of Adıyaman, near the ancient city of Arsamea in southeastern Turkey. Built during the reign of Roman Emperor Septimus Severus around 1800 years ago, it crosses the Sundari River, a tributary of the Katau River, and it's one of the single-span arch bridge that's 394 feet or 120 meters long, 23 feet or 7 meters wide, and reaches about 98 feet or 30 meters above the riverbed. The single arch, spanning around 112 feet or 34 meters, is one of the largest Roman stone arch spans still standing today, which shows just how well it was built in the first place. A big part of this is that Roman structures were usually built with locally sourced materials, and in the case of this bridge, local limestone was used. The engineers precisely cut ashlar blocks that were then placed without the use of mortar, relying on their weight and the precision of their placement for the structural integrity. One of the 4 commemorative columns originally placed at both ends of the bridge, 3 remain intact, as the 4th, which was inscribed with the name of Geta, was removed following a rather controversial period in Roman history, when he and his brother failed to rule as joint emperors, and a Damatio Memoriae was issued, which ordered that Geta's name be excluded from all official accounts. Today, the bridge is a major tourist attraction, continuing its original purpose as a crossing over the Sundari River. But to protect the monument, the starting point of the Via Papilia, which led south to Rome, making it a crucial piece of infrastructure for travel, trade, and military. The Romans had excellent engineers and understandings of how to take on projects like this, but they still took a huge amount of effort and time, so they were only built in pieces that were deemed important enough. The bridge is a 5-arch stone bridge that's around 203 feet or 62 meters long and about 23 feet or 8 meters wide. It's built entirely of Istrian limestone, which is a durable material that was popular with Roman architects. And it's the use of this high-quality stone that's one of the main reasons it's been able to survive for more than 2,000 years. The arches vary slightly in size, with the central arch being the largest, and this was a purposeful design choice that helped distribute the weight of the bridge evenly and accommodates the natural current of the river. Long after the Romans were gone, the bridge continued to be an important structure, and during the Middle Ages it became an important symbol of Rimini itself. In World War II, despite efforts by retreating German forces to destroy it, the bridge even managed to withstand those blasts, which during the reign of Emperor Trajan around the year 104, and it crosses the Tagus River. The idea was for it to connect the Roman provinces of Lusitania, which is modern-day Portugal, with Hispania Baetica, which is in southern Spain, allowing for easier trade and military movement. The bridge's name comes from the Arabic word Alcantara, which means the bridge, showing just how important it was in that region, even during the Islamic period in Spain. The bridge was built under the supervision of Caius Julius Lacer, a Roman engineer whose name is inscribed on the structure. Despite being almost 2,000 years old and enduring wars and natural forces, the bridge remains largely intact and functional. It's an arch bridge. It spans around 636 feet or 194 meters and rises about 230 feet or 71 meters above the river, making it one of the highest Roman bridges ever built. The structure has 6 arches of varying size, each supported by piers, with the central arch, which is the largest, and Spanish forces clashed over control of the region. Parts of the bridge were damaged in those conflicts, but it was subsequently repaired, and what you see today is mostly original and an accurate reflection of how it was when it was first completed. Number 4. The Pont du Gard, Provence. The Pont du Gard, which is in the Provence region of southern France, is one of the most impressive surviving monuments of Roman engineering and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was built in the 1st century. It is an ancient aqueduct bridge that crosses the Gardon River near the town of Pont du Gard, and it was built as part of an extensive aqueduct system to transport water from a spring to the Roman colonies of Nemesis, which is modern-day Nîmes. The aqueduct covered a distance of 31 miles, or about 50 kilometers, supplying around 1.5 million cubic feet or 40,000 cubic meters of water each day to meet the needs of the growing population. It was built during the reign of Emperor Claudius, but some sources suggest it has been ones that support the water channel. It was all made using locally quarried limestone with massive blocks cut and assembled without the use of mortar, instead relying on the precise craftsmanship. The channel also maintained a gentle gradient of about 1 to 3,000 so the water could keep moving, which was an incredible level of precision. Once completed, the Pont du Gard became a vital part of the aqueduct system for hundreds of years, supplying water to Nîmes until around the 4th or 5th century. It would, though, be repurposed, such as during the Middle Ages when it became a toll bridge, with its lower tier adapted for pedestrian and cart traffic. Number 3. Pons Fabricius in Rome. The Pons Fabricius, which is in Rome in Italy, is the oldest bridge in the city that's still in its original form. Crossing the Tiber River, it connects the eastern bank of Rome to Tiber Island. Built in 62 BC, it was commissioned by Lucius Fabricius, the curator of public works during the late Roman Republic. Before it, wooden bridges were common in Rome, but they were prone to damage from floods and fires. By a central pier, a smaller arch or floodgate is incorporated into the central pier to reduce the pressure on the structure during high water levels. Over the century, the bridges survived historical events from the rise of the Roman Empire to the invasions of barbarians and the transformation of Rome into the center of Christendom. Despite those changes, the bridge has remained a constant, continuing to serve as a pedestrian bridge that connects the city. Amazingly, unlike many ancient structures, relatively little restoration has been needed because of how well it was built in the first place, with just a few minor repairs and reinforcements being needed over the centuries. It therefore retains much of the original structure. Number 2. The Caravan Bridge in Turkey. The Caravan Bridge, which can be seen in Izmir, Turkey, is often the one that's said to be the oldest in the world that's still in use, and it holds the Guinness World Record for being so. Crossing the Meleş River, it dates back to around 850 BC, meaning it survived as a crossing point for nearly cities like Ephesus and Sardis, which were two of the most important cities of the ancient world. The Meleş River itself is an important place too, as the Greek poet Homer, the author of the Iliad and the Odyssey, is believed to have been born near Smyrna and spent much of his early life near the Meleş River. The bridge is a single-arch stone bridge that's typical of the simplicity and functionality of early bridge-building techniques. It spans around 42 feet or 13 meters, and with a width that's enough for pedestrian and light caravan traffic. It was made using local stone, which was shaped and carefully fitted together without the use of any mortar, and the arch is slightly rounded in a way that's an early precursor to Roman-style arches that would become dominant in future centuries. Throughout history, this bridge has been used as a crossing point for countless merchants, pilgrims, and travelers, and it became an essential stop along ancient trade routes, and has therefore played a vital role in shaping the region's development over the millennia. While it remains mostly intact, ongoing efforts to preserve it are critical to ensuring its survival for future generations. Its historical significance makes it in key regions of Greece, and it's shown much more developed level of infrastructure than had previously been expected from this time. The Mycenaean civilization, which flourished between 1600 and 1100 BC, was one of the most important early cultures of the Bronze Age in Greece. Known for their architectural ability, they built incredible palaces, tombs, and fortifications, many of which showed an advanced skill and understanding of constructing with large stone blocks. The bridge is thought to have been constructed during the height of Mycenaean dominance around 1300 BC to connect Tiryns and Epidaurus, which were two of the most important centers of that civilization. It's a corbel arch bridge, which is a design that predates the true arch bridges that were developed by later Romans. Instead of relying on a keystone, the Mycenaeans used a technique where successive layers of larger stones were laid horizontally, slightly overlapping inward as they rose, until they met at the top to create a narrow opening. This method provided stability and distributed the weight efficiently, meaning that the bridges were surprisingly resilient. The bridge was built arch-like bridge. It also holds a hugely important place in the history of engineering, standing as a symbol of innovation and showing that the Mycenaeans were able to develop structures that could last for millennia. Today, the Archidiko Bridge is an important cultural and historical landmark in the Peloponnese, with visitors from around the world traveling to see the structure and to learn more about the ancient Greeks. And while the bridge and the wider road network lack some of the ornate designs and functional adaptability of later Greek or Roman structures, the simplicity and functionality show a society focused on practical infrastructure to support its economic